Before you get into it, just so you're aware, I talk a lot.
I know you do.
Yeah, so if I run on, feel free to cut me off. I love tangent stories, so I'm prone to them, so feel free.
To tell you to shut up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I love that. Okay, welcome back to this week's episode of Tough Titties. I'm your host, Shawn, and today we have Curtis joining us to talk kinky shit and polyamory and all that good stuff. Hey, Curtis, sup?
Woohoo. Hello.
Woohoo.
Thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome. Okay, real quick. I'm gonna do a quick little titty talk icebreaker with you, and you don't know these questions, so I'm excited to hear your answers. Okay,
I'm
ready?
excited too. Let's do it.
Okay, would you rather have no sex or have shitty sex?
Oh my God. Shitty.
Yeah,
We'll
I'd
take shitty
agree.
for sure. Yeah, it's easy.
Okay, what is your biggest non-sexual turn on? And don't say the mind, because I want something weird. I don't want that.
You want something weird? Give me something weird. Non-sexual.
That's lame. Like, everyone's gonna be like, you have to have a good mind. Like, shut up.
If it's a turn on though, then it is sexual, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but like nothing, not like boobs, you know? Like
Definitely.
glasses or like, you know what I mean? Like something that's not conventional.
Yeah, so I think it's like a flirting dynamic. I like when somebody gets my attention and then withdraws a little bit, gets a little shy, and then comes back. Does that not satisfy you? That's not. I like that being drawn into chase.
You like the hunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tease me to hunt. I like that.
Okay.
That's what I like.
Okay, this one's my favorite. If you had to have one male celebrity fuck you in the ass, who would it be?
Oh my God. Man, this is a tough one.
I know.
He has to fuck me in the ass.
Your ass.
Okay, we're gonna have to go with Lil Nas X. You know, the Lil Nas X is already on my list.
I know, but I thought that was you wanted to fuck him in the ass.
It was. I wanted to top him, but I don't know that I really want to be taken from the back, and so I would prefer it be a bottom type person. So let's go with Lil Nas X.
Okay.
He can go very soft and gentle back there.
How do you know if
know?
he's gonna do that?
It's the vibe. I feel his bottom vibe. He's got a very strong bottom vibe. I watched it in that beautiful Montero video.
And that's what made you realize you were like, he's the one for me.
Yes.
Anytime I hear that song, I think of you.
Beautiful. That's what I want the whole world to think.
Yeah. Okay. So introduce yourself really quick and then tell everybody how I met you.
Oh, okay.
Just internet friends.
Yeah. I'm non-monogamous. Well, let's see.
No, you're not.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fucking lie.
All lies. So my name's Curtis. I'm 40 years old. I'm non-monogamous. I have a girlfriend, and I'd say I'm hetero-flexible.
Well, yeah, I may be hetero. You want Lil Nas X in your butt, so.
Not really. I prefer to be in his butt.
Okay.
But when put under pressure, you know. If I had to save somebody. There may be some gray area. I don't know. I'm open to the idea. I've had some experience with guys, but I'm not really attracted to men or male parts. So maybe I'm straight. I don't know.
He's still figuring it out.
Yeah. I'm open. I'm trying to be open. Let's see.
Also, I don't think that you're non-monogamous.
You think I'm not?
I don't think that you are. I think you're monogamous.
Whoa, interesting. Are you talking relationship status? Are you talking sexually? Or?
I mean, I think you're like you don't you only like hang out with other people with your girlfriend there. So I don't think it counts.
So that's currently, and we'll get into this in this discussion, but that is our current agreement. But I think at core, I'm actually a poly person, but I do always believe in hierarchy. So like in different relationships, I've always had like a primary partner who is like,
Mm-hmm.
my love interest. And then the other people I can have friendships with, I can have deep friendships with, but I do, like, in my brain, I do separate what I reserve for that primary partner and those others. So yeah, it's somewhere between monogamy and not non-monogamy.
Okay. So you're why did I think you were 41?
I'm in my early 40s. Yeah, I'm 41. I'll be 42 this year.
You were
Just
trying to
generally
make yourself
40s.
young.
I would know. I was just okay.
Okay,
I,
sure,
I
sure,
was
sure.
I was rounding.
Okay, so you have a girlfriend. You're not really sure, but you are hetero flexible. We don't know. We're experimenting. Um, okay, give a quick synopsis of how we became internet friends.
So we're in a Facebook group,
Uh-huh.
and I posted a picture, and you liked it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Hmm.
and I was like, this is interesting. So I hit you up, and then I saw you had the podcast, and I was like, oh, I have a podcast, so maybe we could
Hmm.
cross paths.
Anyway, okay, how long would you say you've been kinky slash I think these answers are different, but okay, how long do you think you've been kinky? Let's start there. Since you were two, like humping stuffed animals.
Yes, probably. Um, wow, you picked the story from my mind, but yeah, I think I've been both poly and kinky since I was a kid. It really, to be honest, I thought my level of kink was just normal until last year when I had some friends. I was telling them stories like, oh yeah, and then I did this and I did that. This is when I was single,
Hmm.
and they were like, they just looked at me weird. I was like, I thought this was just guy stuff. And then they're like, no, don't do that, Curtis. I'm like, oh, maybe I should take a kink test or something. Turns out I'm kinky.
Oh, okay, but poly lifestyle.
Yeah, so poly, I've always been very sexually explorative.
Hmm.
I've always had like enjoyed deep connections with people, and I think it's just kind of my experience of human connection. So I know I can remember like at 5 or 6 with my first girlfriend. She was like my girlfriend. She was on the street, and she was my first
Hmm.
like kiss, first peck. And I remember having a major crush on her sister too, her older sister,
You're terrible.
which is funny because my current girlfriend kind of reminds me of that older sister now. Um,
Yeah.
um,
Interesting.
yeah, and so my high school sweetheart and we kind of had natural power exchange dynamics. There's a little like dom sub energy there that I think was just natural in our chemistry,
Hmm.
and we also played with other people, threesomes, and it got kinkier from there. So I think I've been kinky and poly since I was a kid. I really feel like it's part of who I am and how I experience people.
Okay, can you quickly explain polyamory? Because it's different than polygamy.
A bit, yeah, yeah. Um, Polygamy is having multiple spouses, usually wives. Poly is there's a few different groups that use it differently, and I think that gets confusing. Some like to use it to define a specific type of, like, let's say, like an individual's relationship orientation.
Hmm.
Is that individual capable of having multiple physical and emotional relationships? Um, and so that is how I like to use polyamory. Other people use it as an umbrella term for a spectrum of non-monogamy, and that can include relationship agreements. So just like you were saying, like, relationship agreement I have with my girlfriend is really more non-monogamy. It's not like we have relationships with other people outside of each other,
Hmm.
but as an individual, I am polyamorous. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, so there's like what an individual is capable of, and then what you actually agree to do in the relationship.
Okay, so can you take us through your experiences that you have had being polyamorous?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, before we do that, just to further define, for people who aren't familiar with
Okay, do it.
polyamory, there is kind of a spectrum of polyamory, and on one side there's something like monogamish, where you're in a primary relationship, you have that partner, and then like on occasion you're allowed to sleep with other people. Some people have that list of like what celebrities, if you ever meet them, do you get to do it too?
Mm-hmm.
That's monogamish. And then at the far extreme of that, you have what's known as relationship anarchy, and that's where each relationship stands on its own. There's not even a hierarchy with friendships and family and partners, which for people who are too many terms now,
Monogamous.
monogamous, even that kind of blows their mind, right? Like something without priority.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the spectrum, and people end up all over that spectrum.
Like autism.
Yes. Sweet autism. We've talked about this. There's a lot of autistic people in
Yeah.
polyamory.
Yeah, we did. And you're like, well, I think that there's a lot of autistic people in like the kink and poly groups. And I was like, really? Why do you think that is?
I actually there's a great blog they have a blog, they have I think a Discord and also a major Instagram account, and they are, I think it's like Philly Poly or something like that. I could look. I owe them the shout out. I'll look it up at some point. But they the host of that channel, she actually just came out as being autistic as well, and she said for her, autistic people struggle with subtleties and inflection and facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
And so having everything out on the table, which is what serves poly really well, is everything's out on the table and you openly discuss things, you discuss boundaries, you set the agreements. It really suits her because she's not having to read into what people mean,
Right.
or what people are implying or feel things out. She can openly say, hey, is this happening? What's going on here? This is what I need. This is what do you need? And so I think poly really suits um, autistic people or people on the spectrum.
So interesting. Okay, now get into the quad life.
Quad life. So as I had mentioned, my high school and sweetheart and I, we were really kind of sexually explorative.
Mm-hmm.
And when we ran out of things that two people can do, we started playing with other people. We looked at sex clubs and swinging, and we're kind of filling out that life. And then in our 20s, we became close friends with a pair of two other close friends. They weren't actually a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was gay at the time.
Why did
Uh,
you put quotation marks over gay?
well, because like maybe I think in practice, like he identified as gay at the time, but I think he was more bi at the time.
Okay.
Um, just because he, ended up messing around with my ex-wife, so he was into girls in some ways. Um, but we were always kind of hanging out with this couple, the girl and the guy, always flirting. And eventually that led to a threesome with a female. And then down the line, we invited him to play with us in sort of like a couple swap situation. And we were all vibing. My ex and I, we'd always like talk about them like they were like a new boyfriend and girlfriend of ours. Even to family and stuff, we couldn't stop thinking and talking about them.
So your family knew that you guys were being like different.
They eventually found out, but at this time, I think they were suspicious just because we were way too excited about our friends. Like, oh my God, they're so cute. They did this. Ha 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 ha. I think that drew some suspicion.
Okay.
And eventually we thought, hey, wouldn't it be great if all four of us lived together?
No.
Uh, where were you then? Where were
Not
you then?
born. I don't think I was born. So sorry.
Let's see.
Weren't you 20? Okay, I was probably like 3.
Yeah. It's probably about 2000, somewhere around there.
Okay, then 2000 I was 2. So
Fantastic.
couldn't help you there, sweetie.
Get on it.
Next time.
I have to go meet with a 2-year-old in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we thought it'd be great. We thought we were innovators and going to change the world. And I was at a point where I was trying to get my career launched. I was out of college. She was really lonely because she had a lot of my attention before that. And so I thought it'd be win-win. I thought I would be able to focus on my career and then in the evenings come home and have wonderful kinky wild, group sex,
Okay.
uh, which I did get to do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But we had no idea what we were doing. We weren't educated. We didn't study. And now I know there was material at that time. There was stuff that existed on how to do it ethically, how to have hard conversations, how to talk openly, and we had none of those skills being in our early
Who
20s.
moved into whose house, or you guys bought a house together?
We rented a place, so we found a house. We got a dog.
Jesus.
We got like this 4-bedroom house. We had 2 king beds that we pushed together. It was
So you
fantastic.
guys, all 4 of you guys slept together? That's
Yeah.
so fucking weird.
Middle spoon is, I love middle spoon.
Was it
Cuddles on
boy,
both
girl, boy,
sides.
girl?
Yeah, that's actually how we did it. So me and my ex were kind of the hub, so we were center, and
Oh,
then
it's so
he was on the
lucky.
side of her. Yeah. Getting cuddled by 2 girls every night was fantastic.
I guess, yeah. Never done it.
Middle spoon's awesome.
Okay, noted for the next time I live in a quad. Um, so you guys rented a place together, you pushed your beds together, you're sleeping, and so where did things go awry?
um, so it didn't happen suddenly. It happened slowly. I think she started to grow apart from me. There, it's tricky for me to blame any one person, but I do feel like the other female wanted me as her primary partner.
Well, probably because the other one was gay. Well, you say he was bi, but he says he's gay, so maybe he didn't want to be in a relationship with a girl
so he and my ex got really close, and I think
because
he
it was the
started.
gay best friend situation.
Yeah. Well, I'll fast forward. They're married now with multiple kids, and they're still together. So
Wait, what? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So he's not gay. Okay.
That's why I use quotey fingers, because
Okay, yeah, but that was different. I thought maybe, like some people when they're exploring and they're doing like bisexual stuff, but they're only like, I would only have a real relationship with either a boy or a girl type of thing. So I was thinking maybe that was it, but no, that
yeah.
changes the game.
I think genuinely he's like pansexual, like he's open to any genders in the person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the real story.
Okay, so the other girl you think wanted to be with you.
She did. Like there was this really awkward moment where I had talked about like wanting to come in her mouth or something, and she was like, "Oh, I only do that for my boyfriends." And I was like, "That's great and all. How about you just swallow this load that's coming?"
Oh, God.
And then she was like, "Oh my God, you asked me to be your girlfriend." And I was like,
No.
"No, I just asked you to swallow this." Yeah. So then she celebrated, and I didn't have the heart to be like, "No, I didn't ask you." But then that really like hurt the other 2, right? They felt like, "Oh, Curtis went and asked her to be his girlfriend, and he didn't tell anybody. He didn't ask anybody."
Yeah.
So there are a lot of little things like that I honestly don't know if she was trying to manipulate things, or if she was just like she believed those things.
Maybe. I mean, you guys were in your young 20s, right? So
Yeah.
it could have just been she assumed.
Yeah. I do think she lived in a bit of a fantasy world
Well,
herself. So, well, it happens. Early
we all
20s.
kind of wish we did.
So there were little things like that I think
Okay.
hurt my ex and pushed the other guy away a little bit. And I noticed my ex was growing apart from me. There's one time I was like, oh, I was like getting flirty with my ex, and she was like, just hurry up. Which is not like me. Like I like the other person to be into it. I like passionate sex. And after that, it just felt really weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I have to call a family meeting. And so we all got together, and I asked the kind of extracurricular couple to leave. And I said, there's something going on with me and my wife. We need to work on it. And so I'm asking you guys to leave until we work this out. And woo, everybody lost their minds. Lots of tears, lots of passion. It did not go well for me.
Yeah.
I try to kick them out, and yeah, she said no, they're not leaving. My ex did. And they said, "Oh shit, we're not leaving."
So
I
it's
said,
three
"Okay."
against one right there.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, I've got the lease is in my name, so either I'll leave and you guys take it over, or you guys all get out of here." And so we ended up working. I talked to the landlord. We worked ourselves out of the lease, and we all kind of split.
Woof.
Yeah, it was
So
pretty painful.
now that you have a better understanding, and say you were to get in this situation again, would you live with another couple again, or you just are like, fuck that, I would never do that again?
Absolutely not. Uh, that whole thing hurt me and scared me. I went monogamous after that for 15 years. So,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of that was like shame and blame to the lifestyle. But maybe to be honest, I don't know. The idea of like living in a triad with two women, a triad with two women, sounds nice. I don't know. My mom always tells me
Mm,
this story. She always like, and like my mom has hosted people in our house, right? And one time she had my aunt came in, and it caused a rift between my mom and my dad. And so she was like, if having just my sister live here caused a rift between me and my dad, or me and your dad, what do you think like having another like partner could do to a household? So I don't know. Maybe with the right person. I don't think realistically it's likely to happen in my lifetime.
yeah, I think it's also hard. I think having one girlfriend is a lot of work. So having two is probably hard.
So I have a daughter. My girlfriend has a daughter, and I'm like, that's three women in my life. I feel like I have enough, enough
Yeah.
like female energy,
Yeah, you do.
hormones, and moods,
You're
and
good.
yeah,
You're good.
it's a lot.
Yeah. What do you like about poly life? And then what are some of the hardest parts of it? Because I have no interest in it. And I think it's because why the fuck would I want some other girl like liking my boyfriend in front of my face?
What about two dudes though?
Well, that's different. But there's not a lot of guys, I don't think, in this world that would admit to being okay with that.
They exist. I've met them. They're out there.
Okay, well, not in Florida, I'll tell you that. You've seen you've seen the deal
Yeah,
here.
this is definitely something interesting happening in Florida. I'll give you that.
So tell me what you like and what some of the hardest parts of it is.
Yeah. I love feeling unconditionally loved.
But can't you get
Um,
that from one person?
well, I could, but part of me needs this as well, right? So feeling like I have a partner who can accept me this way means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love feeling trusted by my partner to have other relationships and them not being threatened by it. Um, it's really nice to not have to, when I meet somebody, I don't have to classify them as, okay, this is a friend, this is a romantic interest, this is like this is a casual romantic interest, or what? Let's be honest, casual like sexual relationship, or this is like a serious romantic relationship, or this is just friends, or this is just like a networking thing. It's like I can just let them evolve and develop into what they are. Like I don't have to push them to be any one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's a bunch of other side benefits that when you're trying to do things ethically that I think a lot of people miss. And that's, um, it requires a lot of emotional honesty. The dynamic itself is a pressure cooker. So if there's problems or negative emotions, they're going to quickly escalate. And so I like that pressure to have to be honest and upfront.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of the personal benefit is it feels really nice to feel sexually competitive, to feel masculine, to feel like I'm on the market all the time, on the hunt, if you will. And like that feels like my natural state. Like I feel like me. When I don't have that, when I'm in a relationship and I'm having to like keep that energy inside of me, I don't feel healthy.
So, but aren't you doing that currently in your relationship?
Doing what?
Like you're not actively. going out and flirting on the hunt for people?
So no, I'm not solo dating, but I'm allowed to, like, I was allowed to reach out to you, right? Um,
Uh,
that one got complex, but like we'll just brush this along.
I don't know about all that.
But we went to like a kink thing, and there we met the most adorable little puppy. She was so
Okay,
cute.
no, we're skipping this story. I
No,
can't with the fucking puppy shit.
but I'm talking with her. We went to this like lifestyle, aka swinger resort, and there I was able to talk to people, and I was able to express myself.
Right, but she's also always there. You know what I mean?
So she's not there in my follow-up conversation. She's not there. I'm allowed to like find people, make connections, and then bring them back to us.
Okay.
Long term, I think that will evolve. I have a desire to let that evolve, and we've talked about that openly. But right now,
Mhm.
for her comfort, I am having to bring them back to play with us.
Okay. So you didn't give me the hard parts yet.
You're right. Lots of feelings. Uh, letting
Yeah.
jealousy flow, allowing yourself to hurt, being responsible for your emotions, um, letting go of the need to control a partner is a tricky one. We're kind of like trained to do that.
Hmm.
And it takes a lot of time. It's busy. I've got a full social calendar between my regular daily life and then also like, oh, we've got to meet this couple and we've got to see this girl. And then, oh, I want to try out this dungeon. And then we got to go to this place.
Hmm.
It fills up very quickly. So a lot of calendaring.
Keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Um, okay, tell us what some of
And
your kinks are.
and
What
I'm very
and
dehydrated. Very, very dehydrated.
what is that? What do you mean?
Too much sex.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that's a personal problem. Drink more water. I don't know
I'm
what to tell
trying. I'm
you.
trying. I'm horrible. I'm horrible.
Okay, what are your kinks, Curtis? The
Can I
world
have them
wants to
all?
know.
Can I have them all?
No.
Mm, Um, I think at a high level, I'm kind of a natural daddy. It's funny because I have a friend from high school, and she was like, she's kind of followed this journey of mine, and she was like, "This is the role you've always been ready to play." So I think I've always
Okay,
had this. Mhm.
but can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So it's kind of naturally caring. So if you just think about a dominant, right? People like to picture what a dominant is in their minds, and a lot of times that's
Christian Grey.
yeah, yeah, a horrible example, but yeah,
Yeah.
um, that kind of sadistic, serious, hard side. A daddy dom tends to be more caring, a little bit more sensual, still with that strict side, maybe even a little sadistic. Um,
The creepy fingers.
fingers. Um, uh, but yeah, there's also a softer, caring side too, right? I care
Hmm.
about my partner's well-being. I also think we talked about hunting a little bit. There's something called primal. I think I'm a natural primal hunter. I like coy partners. I like to pursue. I like to pick them up. I like to win over their emotions. I'm an exhibitionist. I like being watched. I like doing things in public. I have since I was a kid. This is where I start to get a little embarrassed because I know,
Bashful.
yeah, a little bashful.
Um, let's talk about values. It's very exciting, but important. Um, when you're living the lifestyle that you dabble in, um, what are some things that people that are vanilla and regular monogamous people bring from your relationship or other like poly people and kinky people? What can they bring to their relationship and learn from?
Yeah, so there's a lot of kind of sex positive values and processes that I think vanilla monogamous or hetero relationships can learn from queer, poly, and kinky communities. A lot of it centers around being in touch with your feelings, openly communicating, being sensitive to consent at multiple levels,
Mm-hmm.
and then openly discussing sexual desire and openly talking about STI history.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about being in touch with your feelings. First of all, guys don't know how to do that a lot. So, can you give somebody, some male, some advice on how to be in touch with your feelings?
100%. I think it's really hard for guys. And I don't know how things have evolved in younger generations, but a lot of times you're told just to suck up your feelings, and we're not taught to actually listen to our feelings to get in touch with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you asked if there's advice I could give to somebody. I think for young men, I think the way I've learned to be in touch with my feelings is to first recognize that like feelings aren't inherently bad. Feeling anger, feeling sadness is not bad, and learning to accept that. Wait, construction just started. Can you hear that?
No.
Perfect. I'll pretend that I don't hear it either. Um, so I think the first thing was learning that it's not the emotion that's bad. It is like the emotion is my body and my brain trying to communicate to me that um, something needs attention, that I have a boundary that's been crossed, or I have some need that's not getting attention. And that's separate from how I react and respond to the emotion. And so I think like as a society, there are rules, things you should not do, actions you should not take. You can't hit a wall. You can't try to hit people at Victoria's Secret. I don't know if you've seen that Karen video.
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, she's gone viral.
Oh, wait, is it the girl that's like laying on the floor, like screaming? Okay, yeah, I
Don't
saw a
film
bit
my
of her.
breakdown.
What the fuck? People are so weird.
You could have walked away, lady. Anyways.
He could have.
Yeah. So I think the first part is accepting, okay, my feelings aren't bad. They're trying to tell me something. And then starting to listen to what they're telling you or what the stories you are, that's the stories that you are telling yourself when you have these emotions. And I think that's a huge first step. I think that gets you to see a lot of what's happening in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can I talk a bit of why being in touch with your feelings is important in poly?
Yes, you
Um,
can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because there's multiple people involved, right? So you're pushing limits, you're pushing boundaries, you're finding where people are uncomfortable, and it can be really dangerous to hold your feelings in. You can't dismiss them for too long, or cracks are going to show. So you need to be aware of like what your needs are, what triggers you, and you have to communicate both those things.
What if
Uh,
everything triggers me?
oh, oh.
Okay, shut up. Um, what was I going to ask you? So I think that obviously jealousy is got to be normal to some degree in a poly relationship, but I think one of the biggest questions for those who aren't poly are how do people that are poly deal with the jealousy?
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, wow, these people don't get jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Well, I
that
think
is,
there are some people that just really don't give a fuck, like
yeah,
they just don't care. Like as long as you're doing what I need you to do, like go do your thing. But I think there's a lot of monogamous people who just get jealous over things that don't really matter, if that makes sense. So, what do you
100%.
think?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to do is to accept that jealousy is a natural emotion. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had partners that I have no jealousy over there, but there've been relationships with so much security that I don't mind anything. Like I'm not on top of that person. I'm not watching anything. I'm whatever. Like I trust them fully.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because my current partner, I have jealousy, and there was like there was this one time we are having a threesome with another female, and I got jealous in the middle of it, which is hilarious because up until then we'd been planning for her jealousy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and suddenly like I was feeling insecure. She was actually so the other chick was dominating her, and I was like, oh, what if she likes her domination style better than mine?
She doesn't have a dick though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But man, she was good. She was good. Anyways, um, so like jealousy is normal, right? Like even in a situation where I did not foresee jealousy happening, I encountered it.
Mm-hmm.
And we experience it sometimes with like friends or family, right? Like, oh, you're giving too much attention to this other person. I feel jealous. So, like I was talking earlier about bad emotions. I think culturally we often see jealousy as being a bad thing. Either you're bad for getting jealous, or your partner's bad because they did something that makes you feel jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And just like anger or the other emotions that I mentioned, it's really a signal to yourself that you need something, or a boundary's been crossed, or you're scared, you have some fear that's deep set inside, and that's a good thing that your body's communicating that to you. Um, and so for jealousy, often people are scared of loss or not getting their own needs met, or that something's going to be taken from them. And it's a matter of working through that, accepting that, voicing that, verbalizing the fear.
Mm-hmm. I think jealousy to a point is healthy, and also like I think it's also hot. Like, don't you want someone to care?
Oh,
Don't you want someone to care? Like, if you didn't care, I'd be like, do you not even love me? You know?
yeah. Have you talked about attachment styles on this podcast?
Yeah, my daddy issues episode. Uh, me and Curtis only talk about attachment styles.
That's all strictly.
Pretty much. And so I think it's healthy to a degree. But when do you think jealousy crosses into like unhealthy territory?
Yeah. I was actually going to tease you. I think a little jealousy is actually sexy. So I think we're both on, we're both a little anxious. So I think
No,
that.
we're a lot, not a little.
I deny it.
Sad.
I like other people to desire my partner. That makes me feel like, I want her. That's mine. You want.
Well,
Um,
no, it's like when you were like talking to somebody, or like you went on a date with them and then things kind of fizzled out, and then you see on Instagram that they got a girlfriend, you're like, wait, what the fuck? I liked them. But you didn't think about them for like a whole month, you know?
Suddenly you want them.
Yeah,
It
it's like
hurts.
that. But
Yeah.
how do we know when jealousy crosses that boundary of unhealthy?
Yeah. I think when jealousy is hidden, right? If you like shove it down and don't talk about it, that's where it starts to become toxic. Not owning, and this goes for any feeling, jealousy included. If you don't own that feelings, a lot of people blame their partner, like you made me jealous. Um, I think that's also deadly for a relationship. And I think we've all been there when jealousy can create a panic attack or super heavy trigger. That
Mm-hmm.
obviously is unhealthy. Um, Ideally, when you feel jealousy, you can sit in it and say, well, what meaning am I giving this feeling? And oh, well, you're going to abandon me. Um, oh, you're talking to somebody else and you're hiding XYZ from me. I think that's what it should sound like to talk about your jealousy and to say, hey, I'm experiencing this. And what do we do to either give me the security I need to work through this, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what, let's figure out a plan to avoid encountering this trigger in the future.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Super
talk.
boring, super
It
boring.
is, but we're going to talk about communication, which is even more boring. What is the difference that you've seen between kinky slash poly relationships versus vanilla relationship communication styles?
Most people in those communities tend to be really aware of their own feelings, and they're they are expected to own their feelings. So,
Mm-hmm.
like jealousy in that example, it's like, oh, I'm feeling jealousy. This situation triggered me and made me feel, or drew out my jealousy. So I think owning them is really important, and then being able to express them requires that poly and kink overall, that participants have really high levels of communication. You have to be able to listen really well to your partner, and it's key to get good at validating, which is so hard. And being able to validate and still present your own position without triggering your partner, which is really, really hard to do, to say, oh, well, you did the thing that triggered me in this way, made me feel this, but I'm not blaming you for it. Learning to have language to facilitate those types of conversation is extremely delicate. And the other thing that I think these communities do really well is they've practiced on creating safe places to openly share yourself without judgment. And being able to do that in a relationship, to have a place where like, oh, it's okay for me to talk about how I felt really insecure last night. Or, hey, I was really attracted to somebody last night and I want to be honest with you about that. Those are really vulnerable things to do. And these communities have really been good at creating that type of space so that people are able to do that.
So how do these people learn how to talk like that?
There's a lot of great material out there. The Ethical Slut is one of my absolute favorites. There's a section called Slut Skills, which are really just relationship skills, and embracing conflict. That's fantastic. I've professionally, I've been nerdy for communication. I've managed communication. And so I've learned a bunch of skills in kind of a corporate environment, but that ethical slut section like summarizes like 10 years of learning I had in a corporate environment in one chapter. There are some great talks by Brene Brown about vulnerability and shame as well, that I think really help people open people's minds up and look at these things differently. A lot of the practical skills, and I realize I'm talking like theoretical here and where to get stuff. There's a lot of practical things to do, or to use I statements, right? Like, not you did this. It's I felt this when this happened. Learning to take time out's very hard for anxious people. Sit in feelings and let other people talk and think through.
No,
Absolutely not.
not allowed.
And thinking, keeping the perspective, the mental frame that you're both on the same team, that we are not here to attack each other or hurt each other. We are both trying to move this relationship forward. I think that's a really big piece.
I think another good thing that these communities are good at is practicing consent. Regular vanilla people, I don't think I've had one guy ask me, do you want to do this? They just fucking do it. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But in these communities, it's kind of like a laid out, I mean, some people even have like contracts and shit that they like write up, but what do you think consent should look like, and when should it take place? Like, how do we make it a popular thing to do these days?
I definitely think it's something that needs to be normalized. Ideally, when should it take place is before you cross each new boundary. And as like a straight cis man, that blew my mind when I heard that concept.
You're like, wait, I have to ask her? I
Well,
can't just do it?
Like, if we're in a private place and we start making out, my mind is like, oh, we get to fuck now.
Yeah.
And to hear what it was actually the Ethical Slut shared, that often in lesbian relationships, like consent is given, like, oh, can I kiss you? Oh, can I touch you here? Oh, can I remove this piece of clothing? That, like, I was like, oh wow, that blew my mind. So I've made mistakes around consent. And it really, consent should not be assumed. Consent to one thing is not consent to another. And I also, in the kink community, the standard for consent is an enthusiastic yes. And I've been in situations personally, like granting consent, where I was like, this is okay. And now looking back, I'm like, oh no, I really should have held myself to that standard too. Like, if I'm not able to say, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
then it's a no. And should back off. The other person should back off.
But I also think it kind of, I'm trying to figure out how to word this for it to make sense. So I think women, we struggle with the idea of consent, and so do men for the same reasons, but like differently. But for me, I feel like if a guy kept, "Can I kiss you?" I'd be like, "Ew, no. Now that you just asked, fuck off." Just do it, you know? But I've also been in a position where I'm like, he's just gone in for it, and I was like, "Ew, I don't want to," but it's just easier to do it than say no, you know?
Yeah.
It
Ugh,
kind of it
see,
kind of it
ugh.
kind of removes like any sexiness. So is there a way to make it hot? Like I just am like, if you ask to kiss me, I'm gonna say gross.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just immature.
I think that's a cultural thing, and I think we can all take one for the team to start to say like, hey, you know what actually is sexy is talking about it. Um, in the kink community, people have there, like you had mentioned, there are formal planning sessions. I think we could get there. And I know there's like gray areas, right? Where it's like, well, I don't know into the moment, and like, what's this person exactly want to do, and there's things you have to feel out. Um, I think there are ways to have a partner opt in, and this is something I worked on for my own personal dating, where I have the person meet me part of the way, and I think it is sexy when done right. So usually on a first date, when I meet the woman for the first time, I like hold up my hand for a high five, right? Like, what up? We did
Ew.
it. Oh no, it works.
Ew. Ew.
Great way to start touching too. Um, but I can't high five myself, right? Like she has to meet me. So that is consent, right? She's like deciding to high five back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same thing is true for a kiss too. Like I can
Lean
this actually
in.
happened with my girlfriend. Yeah, I can lean in and get really close, and then just hang at that last minute. I can't even move back. I actually like to move back a little bit, like chase me back. Um, um, but that's sexy. Like most women have responded really well to that kind of thing.
They like the high five moment.
I've never had a complaint on the high five. It
I'm
it starts.
complaining.
I see. It starts us being silly. It like adds a silly element, and it gets energy up. We've already touched, so
Okay.
yeah, the high five works well for me. I also think you can start to then have more overt kind of consensual talk. Like you can nuzzle somebody's neck and say like, "Oh wow, you smell amazing. Can I taste you or can I kiss you?" Taste is too much.
Yeah, that was like, no. I don't like that.
You can also start to remove clothing and then ask, "Is it okay if it comes off?" Um, I think it's pretty common to say like, "Do you mind if I go get a condom?" Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are ways in the moment where it's still sexy. It's not detracting, but you're still asking for consent along the way.
Yeah. Why don't you think vanilla people do this as much?
Yeah, I don't know that it's directly discussed ever really. Nobody's taught me how to do consent.
Mm-hmm.
The little bit of like the high five stuff, that actually came from a pickup group, and it wasn't framed around consent. I've kind of like realized it involves consent, but it wasn't taught that way. It was taught as an excuse to get her to touch you. Um, and I just don't think there's a focus on it. Like I don't know that I've sat around in a group of guys and we talked, we shot the shit about how we have women consent.
Consented.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think it's just culturally not done.
But we got to do it.
And I think people are uncomfortable being direct.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I've heard so many people, even in like group scenarios and kink scenarios, talk about like wanting to be in the moment to go with the flow,
Mm-hmm.
um, which usually means I want to be intoxicated and see if I'm comfortable.
Okay.
And I don't think we've been taught how to make it sexy, how to do it in ways that do play in the moment.
How do you find out if you and a potential partner are sexually compatible without having sex?
Ooh, it's a hard one.
Mm-hmm. Because I think I've wasted a lot of bodies that I could have just I could have passed on, but I didn't know. He
Like the fact that you say bodies too. Well, there's a spectrum of compatibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I think through my best partners, um, I think a lot of it is about the role that I want to play during sex and the role I want them to play. Um, it's tricky. I'm also thinking through a current scenario too, where there's like this couple that me and my girlfriend are talking to, and it's like there's a lot of uncertainty about what they want,
Mm-hmm.
who they want to be during the sex. Like, how can I know? So I do know, like, so I think it is personal, right? Like you have to think through what role you want to play, what you want the other person to play. I know I want a partner who's submissive and highly reactive. I want somebody who expresses a lot in reaction to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel confident that they are enjoying themselves. I want somebody experienced. I don't want a virgin.
Okay.
I do. So when I date, I used to vet people with questions along those lines, like, what's your craziest experience? What's the most trouble you got into high school? To see if people were willing to talk through those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I also make small gestures, specifically because I like people who are highly reactive. Um, just like the kiss thing I mentioned, I want to see how they react to that motion, right? Do they react as I start to lean in? Do they react when I get close? If I smell their hair, do they react to that? Are they noticing those little cues? Um, and then I also do little things to lead them because I do like people who are submissive, right? So like I'll put my hand on their low back and guide them, or I'll like gesture with my arms. I'll hold out a hand and see if they take it. So there are
Uh-huh.
little things I do to see if they kind of fit that what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
For you, I don't know what you are looking for in somebody. So
Me either.
you'd have to come up with a gauntlet of questions and tests, I think.
I just feel
Like,
like that's kind of like I don't like feeling like I'm testing somebody.
oh, interesting. Why? Why not?
I don't know, because isn't it supposed to be like more natural? Like when I was talking to a guy on the phone the other day and he hung up on me and I was like, oh, fuck no. My anxious attachment was like, I gotta call them back. So I did. But he was like, yeah, that was just like a test to see if you would call me back. I was like, ew. So I wouldn't want to do that to somebody else.
See, that's a weird move, I admit. I think like I think testing for how do I draw this line? I think, putting in random tests is kind of lame, but trying to like figure out who somebody is and seeing how they react to certain situations, I think that's okay. I got to think about that one because that's a weird line.
Okay,
I
get
need to
back to
like,
me.
yeah, I'll get back
You
to
should
you on
get
that
back to
one.
me. What should we all be asking though when we're talking to somebody new in terms of sexual interests?
Yeah. Um, that's also hard. I don't think there's one set of questions for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really takes time to assess what you want sexually and then coming up with questions that will open people up. Um, I do think though, overall, people should be telling other people what they like during sex. Squeeze me here. Oh, I'm too sensitive there. God, I don't know why women want to touch my nipples, but I'm not down. Too sensitive. Hands off. Um, then during flirt, and like I don't like to get sexual over text. I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and no photos before you fuck. Come on. No nudes.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
some people are into that. But I think that's also, if you are doing that, if you are comfortable flirting, I think that's a great place in that texting phase to share preferences. As sex comes up or past partners come up, I think there's a lot of opportunity to talk about what you do and don't like. And I think people should definitely be open about what they're into and what they're not into.
Mm-hmm.
I,
I
I
think
want to know.
yeah, but maybe it's just because I'm younger, but I don't even think so because I talk to old guys. But I feel like once you cross the bridge of talking about um what you're sexually interested in, that's all they want to talk about ever.
Mm.
And then
I
I'm like, you're kind of
that
grossing me out.
yeah, that could be a red flag. I think that's fair. I'm okay to pop into sex and pop out of it, and I think that's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, and it's a little tricky with dating, right? Because people are looking for signs. They're trying to see like who's gonna sleep with them right away and who's
Me.
not. I know. Me too. So
Sad. No, I'm trying not to though.
date two. Just date two. Just one more.
Mm, it's hard.
Oh, it is. I know it
I'm
is.
just a whore.
I have a lot of female friends. It's hard. It's hard for them. At my age too. So it's not like you learn anything in the next 20
Great.
years.
Cool. I'm glad.
um, but I think if maybe that's a good test though. We're talking about not testing, but I do. Yeah, see, you've got to filter out weirdos, and you got to filter out. I feel like there's too many guys that are just trying to get laid and will say and do whatever it takes to get laid.
I
So I don't
know.
mind filtering them out.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Okay, so how do I filter them?
So we just discovered one, right? Like maybe bringing up sex casually and then seeing if they can get away from that topic.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay not having sex.
That's it. That's all you got for me?
Let me think. Um, to filter out those types of guys. I think
Mm-hmm.
waiting to the second date really helps. Because
I feel like maybe I should be crazy and wait till like the fourth.
if that suits you, yeah, that's
It
fine.
doesn't suit me, but we'll see what happens.
I think that's worth the experiment, to be honest. I had a friend, and again, she's my age. She really got tired of just hooking up with guys. So she wanted somebody who would take her out, show her off on the town, make her laugh, right? Show her a good
Mm-hmm.
time. And then she was fine sleeping with that dude. Um, And in her pursuit for that guy, she found this one guy who said, "Oh, let's go out Saturday night." And I was like excited. I'm like, "Ooh, you got like prime spots. Saturday night, he's going to take you out to dinner. You guys are going to walk around the town. Perfect. Beautiful." And then he hit her up like, "Oh, sorry, work plans changed. How about I just come over tonight and I bring takeout?" I'm like, "I know, right?" I'm like, "Oh,
I
so
get that shit
lame."
I get that. I'm like, well, why don't you just like don't you just wanna come over and won't like I'll cook for you. I'm like, fuck off. That's third date. And they're like, wow, you have rules. I'm like, I do now. Because whatever I was doing before was not working.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you for learning. I just think there's a lot of low effort guys, and like I'm not shitting on them if they
No
can
shit
find
on
women.
them.
Well, if there's women who are into that and they're cool with that, lucky them because there's a lot of dudes there. But I think guys should be putting in some effort. I always took people out on dates, like actual real live dates. I want to like the person if I'm gonna hook up with them. Even if we hook up that first night, I want to like you.
Right.
Yeah. So
But guys will also like fuck a couch cushion, so it
it's
doesn't
true.
really matter.
Couch cushions, trees, whatever.
Trees.
Stuffed animals.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
you
get
know.
like a splinter.
You gotta sand it down first.
That's a lot of work to just like hump a
Let,
tree.
let's work then a date.
Okay, anyway, STI history, last one. This is another thing that the poly and kink communities are really good at discussing and divulging.
Yeah.
They're very open and honest about their status. Even on like certain, I've been on Field before, which used to be Thrinder, which was like a threesome
Oh,
app.
yeah.
But people put like in their bios stuff about their STI status. And I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
And on Grinder, I think too, like there's an option to put your STI status. So I think it should be more normalized to talk about, but vanilla people just simply don't even want to say that it exists. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
I think it's because people aren't used to talking about it. Again, it's something you're not taught how to do. Um, but absolutely, it's something that people should be open and honest about. And like you mentioned, Field does a great job with people disclosing it. Statistically, people assume that like STI rates must be higher in people who are swingers or have group sex, people in the poly community, and it's actually the same as mainstream society. And it's all because people are more willing to talk about it and get tested more regularly.
Yeah, well,
So
that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't get tested because same thing with like COVID. Like if you don't get tested, you don't have it, you know? And I'm just like, that's simply not how it works. And I think I've told you this story before where I was talking to, this was like when we first became friends, and I was telling you all my tragic dating stories. And
so many.
I know it's terrible, but it's like good content. No, I was talking to this guy and I was getting a blood test, and he was like, "Why are you getting your blood taken?" And I said, "For an STD test, just like a routine fucking STD test, you know, like as everyone should." And he was just like, "Oh, you must not treat your body like a temple." I was like, "Sir, what?"
Crazy.
But like, it's so, and he like didn't want to talk to me because I got tested. Like, don't what? Like, I just think that that's wild, but a lot of guys think like that. And I'm not sure so much about women, at least my female friends aren't like that, but I'm not sure how
Yeah.
they differ.
I don't know about women in kind of mainstream because I haven't talked to them a lot about STI testing, which
Mm-hmm.
is probably problematic, right? Um, but women I've talked about STI testing in the kink community are far more open about it. My girlfriend was just tested this past week. She had her blood drawn, and I got my result.
Congrats.
I think I think I got my results like a month ago. So we're trying to keep it pretty much quarterly, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Um,
I just think that's what, even if you do have like a monogamous partner, you still should. Just
yeah,
saying.
just for
You don't
maintenance.
know. Yeah, but
You really
also they
don't?
could be
Oh yeah,
cheating
them
on
too.
you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, a few years ago, my doctor was like, asked me when I was dating my boyfriend, asked me if I use condoms with him. And I was like, no, stupid. Why would I do that? And she was like, well, you don't know what he's
Mm,
doing. And I'm like, okay, just because you're married doesn't mean, like, you know, it doesn't matter. You don't know what
yeah.
anybody's doing behind your back.
That's 100% true. You're right. I actually had this horrible doctor once. I wanted to get tested for HPV, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know, but there's no man test. There's no like test for men.
What is the test for women? Isn't it
It's a
just
blood
the
test.
swab
I
up the
think it's a blood
coochie?
test. I don't know.
I don't know. They just stick stuff up my vagina and I'm like, cool.
Good job, thanks. And I told him like, oh, I want to make sure like I don't have it, and give it to, or I told him, hey, I want to get tested, and he was like, just so you know, like she wouldn't even know if she got it from you. I was like,
Oh my
you are
God.
horrible. Like
He
I
must have
happen to
done that
care.
before. He must have done that before. What the fuck?
Like you
That's
can't prove it.
terrible.
Like what? But I think a lot of people just lack the language. And I think so people are so focused on like either the guys are trying to hook up, and sorry to stereotype, but the guys are trying to hook up and the women are trying to figure out like, do I hook up with this guy or not? That slowing it down to have the conversation is just awkward. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be anything complex. It can sound like, my sexual health is very important to me. I was tested last on. My results are, do you mind sharing yours?
Right.
Um,
What is your like best advice on how to share your status with someone, maybe if you do have something?
so I've spoken to a close family friend who has they keep changing the name. It's herpes, HPS maybe. Um,
I don't know. We know herpes, the herp.
or HSV maybe. HSV
Sure.
one and two. Two I think is genital. One is oral. 50% of people in the world have type one.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, sorry, in the US, 50% of people. And I think it's 12% for type 2. So it's more than 1 in 10. She openly shares it. So she tells new partners before they hook up that she has it and that it's managed. She has medication when she's
Mm-hmm.
going to add in a new partner that she uses to suppress it. And they can also feel, I've actually heard this from a few friends, they knew people who are like, we were going to have sex, but I think I have an outbreak coming, so we shouldn't.
Mhm.
That's the way she does it. She's literally had no guy ever tell her no.
But well, I also think a big problem too is like a lot of people don't really know about STIs and STDs and whatever you want to call them. Like they don't really understand, like, first of all, I feel like everyone and their mothers has had chlamydia, except for me. I don't know how, but I haven't gotten it.
I've missed it too.
but I personally know people that have had it, and it's very easy to get rid of. Like you take a pill or two and it's gone. Like, and then herpes is, you know, people think that they're out and about the rest of your life, and they're not. It's like they can go dormant. You can get medication that suppresses it, and I just feel like people aren't informed. You know why? Because in school, when they tell us about STDs, they show us the scariest fucking pictures that they can find on the internet.
That's
And they're
100%
like,
accurate.
and they don't say like, if you get this, here is what you could do. They're like, if you have sex, you're gonna get these disgusting warts on your fucking vagina, and you'll never be able to have sex ever again because everyone's gonna hate you. That's just simply not how it works.
I fully agree. That is how
Because they
the
try and
problem is
scare
that's it.
us with STDs. But in reality, like it's, I mean, not totally the end of the world, especially these days, because there's so many meds to help fix them.
I had a friend recently find out that they have HPV, and she was terrified. And it's like, okay, 80% of people, 80% of sexually active people in the US have HPV. Like, you're gonna be okay.
It's like, yeah, HPV. I think I got the shot for that.
Oh, you're that
Gardasil.
generation. You're lucky, yeah.
Well, so it came out when I was young, like 12, and my mom was like, "No." But
Wow.
well, she was like, I don't really know if I want to give that to her. She's so young, like whatever. And then I just recently got like the 3 within the last like couple years. So
Oh, nice. I want to get it too. Like, odds are I have HPV. I've had partners that have
wait, so
had it.
your doctor didn't test you for it?
There is no test for men.
Oh, right. What is it?
So
How can they test it in women then?
it's a blood test. I looked it up. Like they
So
can,
then how
I'm
can
like, I know what. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how it
that's
works.
weird. Well, can't HPV lead to like cancers, different
Yeah,
cancers?
yeah, cancers in the uterus, like weird growths. I know people have had to be scraped and stuff. Yeah. I do think around STIs though, stigma is a huge piece of it. Like they're not death sentences like
Let's
people
all
think.
get chlamydia as a
To share it.
protest. It's really like if you get chlamydia and you don't know it, because a lot of people don't, and it goes on for a while, like you have it for a while, you can become infertile and stuff, but it's not hard to fix. That's why you need to get tested every 6, 3, 1 year. I don't know. Depends on how much you're fucking, I guess.
I've heard recommendations for every 6 months just because we're active. I like every 3 months. Now, those are the two numbers I've heard thrown around the communities.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
testing
better
is
than
key.
none.
Knowing, being informed about your body is important.
I got tested a couple days, like last week or a week before. I'm clean, everybody. Hit me up.
Whore.
It's the whores that don't get the STDs.
Actually, most STDs are transmitted in monogamous relationships by cheating partners.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
Because
true.
you guys don't talk about that shit. Okay, Curtis, before we go, give us your best sex tip. I know you have one.
Is this for men?
Anybody? Sure.
Okay. I'll do it for guys. Don't just fuck her body. Fuck her mind and her emotions.
Oh, I hated that.
Why?
Ew. Try again.
Try again. You want like a practical tip?
Yeah, fuck her mind. Shut up. Give me something
No,
good.
well, hold on. Let me expand on it. So like that kiss thing, right? Like that pulling back and pulling away.
Okay.
I think that has an impact. And I also I have a friend. She loves to feel small. So being told verbally, like guys don't verbalize enough, I think. So telling like her being told she looks small, like, oh, you're so tiny under me, that kind of stuff, um, messes with her head, right? And it makes her feel like she feels more than just what's happening on her body.
No, I feel like guys are going to take that advice as like play mind games with her.
No, I don't want to know. That's not what I was saying. Um, like you can put ideas in their head, right? Like I made some. It was my girlfriend. I made her come once by telling her how I wanted to love her, how I wanted to make her feel. She literally came. It was crazy.
From just saying that.
Yeah, I was inside of her, but
Okay.
I wasn't moving. I was talking to her.
That's kind of magic.
Yeah, it was cool. So words matter a lot. You also nasty shit. I like to say nasty shit, a lot of dirty talk. Do you want a practical tip, huh?
Yeah.
Mm,
I need something else besides the honey head tip.
the honey.
I need something more. That was such a good one. It changed the game.
Okay.
It really did.
There is a technique for oral sex, and it's named after a
Ooh.
Reddit poster. It's called the Kivin method. It's
Okay.
named, the mythology is it was a Reddit poster.
Okay.
Um, and so you go, she's laying down
On her back.
on her back, yeah. And
Okay.
I go I go under the near side leg. So I'm like 90 degrees to her. This is me, this is her.
Okay.
I go under this leg. And what it allows you to do is with this hand, you can kind of pull up her lips and expose the clit.
Mm-hmm.
And then these fingers can play butt, pussy.
Okay.
And that sideways angle allows you to like play with the hood really well and lick the hood. And so both hands are active now, which you normally can't do. And you can play with the hood until she gets really close, and then you can go for the full-on clit. Um, it's had good results as I've shared it with people. So
Okay.
yeah,
Huh.
called the Kivin method. You can Google it. It's all over the internet. I think Healthline even has an article on it.
Oh my God, love that. Okay. I have to have somebody do that to me and I'll let you know.
Haven't put it down yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other kinky or poly advice before we go?
I don't think so.
I think we covered all the good stuff.
Yeah. Just be open-minded. Don't well, this is hard to do. Don't yuck on people's yums. I think that's a hard one, but
Uh-huh.
that starts to reflect on you, right? If you start to like boo-hoo on people's stuff, then you feel shy sharing stuff. So I think generally, if you can avoid yucking on other people's yums, then you will feel more free to express your own yums and to explore your own yums.
So I shouldn't have said ew when you said.
Yes.
No, I had to.
Well, and there, to be fair, there are things I yuck on because there's some things I don't get.
Like poop.
Poop is a tough one for me. Vomit would be a weird one. I'm eerie, like it's eerie for me. Needle play, like blood.
Yeah. People in Florida love that.
Staking people to the front yard.
It's fucking terrifying. Anyway, thanks for joining me, Curtis.
Thank
Where can
you.
people find you and your podcast?
So Buddy and I have a podcast for divorced men. It's Owning Divorce, one word, on YouTube. And really the focus is how to live your best life after divorce. And we talk a lot about dating, but we also talk a lot about like dealing with our emotions and dealing with family and dealing with our exes' families and who gets which friends and just kind of talking about how to live our best lives. So
And you're an expert because you've been divorced a few times.
I'm a pro. I'm racking them up. Working on it. No. And people are also free to, if they want to connect with me personally on Instagram, THE Curtis B. Free to find me
And
there.
ask him any advice because he's pretty good at it. But sometimes he tells you things you don't want to hear. So just be aware about that. Or he'll make you take a bunch of like personality tests and stuff. Just be aware for that too.
I
Wait,
appreciate it.
okay, everyone should take these tests. What is the BDSM one? Is it just bdsmtest.com?
I think it's kinktest.org. I could
Oh,
confirm it, but yeah, I think it's known as the kink test.
I think everyone should take that just to see if they're
Yeah.
into anything.
No, if you got it.
Know
Yeah,
if you
it's
got it.
kinktest.org.
Okay, kingtest.org. Then I think everyone should take, what is that personality test that I took?
The Enneagram.
Yep. Take that,
So
little guy.
yeah, I love the Enneagram test. Helpful to kind of look at yourself at different levels of function, healthy to unhealthy.
Uh-huh. Love the unhealthy. And then I feel like I took another test for you.
The attachments? Yeah, it was
Probably.
attachment.
But we already knew the answer to that. But yeah, everyone take those 3 tests. Let me know your results. I'm curious. And then tell Curtis.
Then consult with me.
Okay, bye everybody. Love you.
Thank you, Shawn.